Good morning. Welcome to Mega Focus Monday. Sorry about that. We are joined this morning by Kenya Burrell VanWormer, HAR Chair of the Board. We wanted to have Kenya on this morning to talk about quite a few different things, because if you don't know Kenya, she is very involved. She goes to all kinds of different events, educational events, area networking meetings, and things like that. So we wanted to talk to her about a few things this morning. But Kenya,
Sure.
If you want to start by just introducing yourself.
Sure, absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me today. And as Christina mentioned, my name is Kenya Burrell VanWormer, and it's been a privilege to serve as the HAR chair this year. Mm-hmm. So what's interesting about serving as chair is this is kind of the pinnacle of where your leadership journey takes you when you're involved in association leadership. So I didn't just wake up and decide I want to be chair overnight. It's about a 10-year journey. So one of the main reasons I wanted to get involved with HAR and involved with giving back to my industry is because it's important for us to stay informed, to really understand what it takes to make us successful as practitioners, as well as to help protect the industry that we serve. So when we talk about protecting the industry, TREPAC is something that's near and dear to my heart. I've served in leadership with our local association as chair of TREPAC and at the state level as well. So giving back is important to me, and helping others get involved in leadership is really important to me as well, because if you're a good leader, you're looking for your replacement. Yeah. And so we're always looking for new people to bring in to help them figure out where their path may be in leadership with the association.
Yeah. And for people who don't know or maybe aren't too well aware, maybe they've heard the term TREPAC but don't really know what it is. Sure. Can you explain to us what TREPAC is?
Absolutely. TREPAC is the Texas Real Estate Political Action Committee, and that is an organization that is bipartisan. So we are not on one side of the aisle or the other. We're an organization that supports issues that are important to real estate. Okay. So it's making sure that our elected officials at the local, state, and national level have a baseline understanding of protecting private property rights and homeownership values. And that's what's important to us.
Very good. So I wanted to know about, what made you decide to run for the board of directors? I know you said this has been a 10-year journey, but what made you decide to run for the board of directors and then, to take the next step to run for the executive committee and of course now you're chair?
Sure. What's interesting is, as simple as this sounds, our task is to ask. And so someone asked me to get involved, and that someone was Vicki Fullerton. So Vicki Fullerton is someone who has served in leadership as our local HAR chair, the state chair of the Texas Association of Realtors, and she lives and breathes TREPAC. So it really started with her getting me involved in TREPAC, and it just blossomed from there. So I think really just someone asking and then you making the best of that decision. You can either move forward with getting more involved or, deciding not to take that leap into leadership. So it's really someone asking.
Yeah, that's good. And if you don't know, right now, you can actually get involved through today. Actually, today is the deadline. If you go to har.com/get involved, you can see all the different advisory groups and the local PACs and things like that where you can get involved. So check that out, har.com/get involved. The deadline is today. So if you haven't taken advantage of that yet, go ahead and sign up. And if you want to sign up for a few different committees even, right?
Absolutely.
There's some people that do multiple things and have multiple passions.
That's right. And to your point, it's real important to find a committee that you like. It's something that you're passionate about. If you like politics, we have governmental affairs. Right. We have political affairs. If you like technology, we have a committee for you. So really go to that website and take a look at the opportunities that are available and find something that you're passionate about, because we'd love to have your support.
Absolutely. So getting into, a little bit of heavier topic here, we're starting to hear a little bit more about Craigslist scams. Again, I feel like this is something that, it just kind of goes in waves. We hear about it and then we don't, but I know it's something that's ongoing, really. What are some things that our members can do to protect their listings, but also to protect their clients?
Sure. It's interesting. I don't think these people ever really take a break. It's always really important for us to make sure that we stay on top of our business. So unfortunately, the Craigslist scam seems to be resurfacing again. I would encourage you to always monitor your listings, and not just monitor them on HAR or some of the other sites that we send them to, but make sure that you're checking Craigslist. We've recently had a realtor reach out to us that her listing was compromised, showing as a lease when the property is actually for sale. What's interesting about that is I believe it was a consumer that found it on Craigslist and questioned the property being for lease when they knew it was for sale. So sometimes someone on the outside may find it. It's really up to us to make sure that we are checking all of these avenues as often as we possibly can. And that means going to Craigslist and maybe looking through all of those listings.
Yeah.
And once that happens, make sure you get in touch with your broker and see what, policies or guidelines your office may have with combating that type of scam.
Yeah. So really it's just a matter of doing the legwork and looking for it, maybe setting up a Google alert.
That's not a bad idea.
Things like that might be helpful. And then also with consumers, I think it's really important for realtors, right, to educate consumers.
That's right.
About what's
so there is an education component to this. So not only for us to make sure that we're protecting that listing, but that's protecting your consumer as well, right? Making sure that if they see something that looks a little off center, to always keep you in the communication loop.
Absolutely. So we're getting into the holiday season, and we hear a lot about crime rates and things like that going up during the holidays. Typically we hear about it involving like shoppers and be careful at the mall and things like that. But, realtors can be targets as well. What are some things that realtors could do to kind of protect themselves either online when they're working on transactions or electronic data, or when they're out in the field?
Sure. So, we talk about realtor safety. Realtor safety is something that we should always keep top of mind. I think sometimes we do let our guards down, but making sure that you have a buddy system in place when you're off-site, say at an open house, either have a partner with you or a partner close by. We've recently heard about someone that's out there that seems to like to go to our open houses and can be a bit inappropriate at times,
right?
Which really puts you in a compromising position. So we ask that always have a buddy involved. Make sure that someone knows where you are, either at your office or someone within that vicinity of the open house, and check in. We just want to make sure that we are protected when we're out in the field. So just make sure that you remember your safety is paramount. And sometimes that seller, if you're going to an open house, may also be able to provide some assistance to you as well.
Absolutely.
But as it relates to wire fraud, we're talking about, theft and security, be alert, because it seems like wire fraud is more rampant today than ever. We're asking for people to get kind of old school right now. Pick up the phone. If you get an email about your wire transfer, it probably didn't come from the title company. Make sure that you have educated not only your buyers and sellers, because there's quite a bit of money involved and it's a large amount financially for them to lose if anything is compromised. And I know we're all guilty of this. You get an email and it looks like it's from you, Christina, but it may be off by 1 or 2 letters.
Right.
And if you're busy, not really paying attention, you could easily send information to the wrong party.
Absolutely.
I'll give you an example over Thanksgiving. I was actually scammed recently.
Oh, wow.
And it was actually, I think it was Thanksgiving Day. I started receiving emails at 7 a.m. saying, Kenya, did you ask me to buy iTunes gift cards for you? And I'm like, no, not at all. Someone targeted our board of directors with an email that looked like it was from me, asking them to buy gift cards. So even on a personal note, just be careful. As careful as you can. Once we found out what was going on, we could alert everyone. But if something sounds like it's off-centered from someone that you know very well, then definitely, question it. Don't go out buying gift cards for someone that doesn't need them, even on Thanksgiving Day.
So no iTunes gift cards.
No, not at all. No, please don't.
All right, sounds good. And also, NAR does have some great tips. They put out a new tip every week and things like that on their website. So we put up the website for you guys to see there, to check that out. So any other tips? Or I know just as recent as yesterday, there were issues out in the field with the realtor and safety. So,
I really want to commend our team here at HAR, our communications team, because whenever we get an alert that something has happened in an isolated area or an isolated incident, we want to make sure all of our members are aware. So our team does a great job of getting out the word to our members. It's just up to our members to open and read the information we send. So we send it out during the 5-minute Realtor. Sometimes it's also in our magazine. So if you read the magazine, you'll see that we're providing precautionary measures for you to take with open houses and making sure safety is paramount. So I would just say that, as of yesterday, we did receive notice that there were some very inappropriate comments made to one of our realtor members at an open house, and their brokerage is handling, that situation right now. But if the authorities have to be involved, get the authorities involved, and then let us know what we can do to provide backup.
Absolutely. So, kind of moving on to a different topic, we've discussed a lot on Member Focus Mondays, some of the disruptors, if you will, that have been coming to the industry, whether it be new technologies or even different brokerage models and things like that are coming into the industry. What is your take on the changes that are going on in the industry, and what are you hearing? Because I know you're out there a lot at these different events and things like that. What are you hearing from our members about these changes or disruptors, if you will, as people call them?
Well, we hear a lot of noise out there right now, and disruption is something that we talk about more so today than ever before. So I think that it's important for us as members to be aware of what's happening, not just inside our brokerages, but what's happening to our industry as a whole. And disruption, again, is a topic that's very, very common. So we have new business models, right, that are entering our marketplace. And some of the new business models are here in Houston now. We do have Open Door, which is a new company to our market. They're not new to the industry per se, but new to Houston. They're based out of San Francisco, and their concept is to take the pain out of the home buying process. Right. We know there are pain points within the traditional way that we sell homes, and their goal is to remove them. So the way that we see these new changing models is that they are an addition to what we do, right? So what's interesting about real estate is there's a business model for everyone. What works for you may not work for me, but we provide solutions that work for everyone. And that's the way that we are approaching this. What's interesting is, as I am out in the field and speaking to our members, some are very upset about the changes. Yeah. And I can understand that. But in this day and age, change is coming. So we either embrace it and understand that it's here to stay, or we walk away from this industry. So the interesting thing is, depending on your mind shift, you may be able to understand how to work with some of these companies to enhance the business that you have now. And I'll give you a good example. Open Door is considered one of the new disruptors that's there. And Open Door, for many of you who may not be familiar, is a company that streamlines the home selling process in a matter of days. So you reach them day one about your home. By day 3 or day 4, you have an offer. And it's that simple. There are some measures in place that need to work for that to happen, of course, but they streamline the process. So what's interesting about that is they're considered iBuyers. So an iBuyer may be able to help a customer or a client that you're working with, as opposed to a traditional way of selling a home. I do know very successful brokerages now that are including the Open Door business model in their listing presentation. And here's why. If you can't serve that client that you've just met who has to sell their home, a little bit of something and being able to provide an opportunity to that person is better than nothing at all. So instead of fearing what's coming in, understand their business model and find out how it may be able to benefit you with the changes that you need to make in your brokerages. So it's interesting to see, yes, change is something hard for all of us, right? And the fear of the unknown is something that's very difficult for most of us as well. But if you take the time to understand and study the trends and the changes that are coming, there's some things that may actually help increase the business opportunities that you have.
I think it's a good time for people to reevaluate their value proposition as well.
Absolutely.
Towards, a buyer, or in this case, a seller when competing, if you will, with Open Door.
Absolutely.
Because Open Door may work for one consumer, but like you said, not for another. Just like one brokerage model type may work for me that doesn't work for you. So it's a good time to just kind of reevaluate how we're marketing ourselves as well, I think.
Absolutely. And as we move into the new year and we start looking at goals and ways that we want to really help our businesses adapt to the new changes, this is something to consider.
Yeah, definitely. I do want to mention we announced last month our new podcast. I was trying to remember what month we're in. I thought we were in December. We did announce our podcast last month, but I want to mention it again specifically in reference to this topic, because last Wednesday we released half of the Management Central event. Okay. You were at that Management Central event. We released half of it. We heard from Jeremy Conway talking about disruptors and technology and venture capitalists and how that's affecting the industry. The other half of it was Kurt Beardsley from the Zillow Group. And that is actually releasing this morning at 10 a.m. So that will be available. So if you haven't subscribed to HAR's podcast, it's called the HAR On the Move podcast anywhere that you subscribe to podcasts. If you search HAR on the Move, you'll find it. And I would strongly recommend people listen to that, because I know I heard from several brokers that were at that event that I want all my agents to hear this. And I'm sure you probably heard something
Absolutely. And to your point, if you were not at the Management Central meeting, you missed out. But the good news is you have an opportunity to hear it. And Christina's right. You have to provide a value proposition today that shows that you are the expert and that you are the source for real estate. And that podcast that you've created now and having information from Management Central, it really helps to empower you to know what's going on and to really provide a better level of service to consumers.
Absolutely. So we're getting close to the end of your year as chair. Like I mentioned earlier, we've so much enjoyed having you. I feel like you're here every day. We need to set up an office for you somewhere. But just kind of looking back on the year, what have been some of your highlights or maybe proudest moments of the year for you?
Goodness, it's hard to believe a year is almost to an end. Everyone says it goes by really fast. And when you're in it, it really does go by fast. Now you're going to make me feel like a parent right now, because if you have children, you can't say one child is better than the other child. So in terms of moments for the year, there were so many great moments. I think that some of my most proudest moments may have been making sure that we had a sense of inclusion, including all the multicultural groups, being able to get involved in the community and help with Harvey recovery efforts that are still going on.
Yes.
Being able to help our members have a voice at the National Association of Realtors when there was talk about a dues increase. We took a position that after speaking to our members, they said, hey, look, we don't want a dues increase. And so we decided to take a stand. It wasn't the most popular position to take, but we took it because it was the right thing to do for our members. So I think I'm very proud of the fact that we are very fortunate. I mean, as the second largest real estate association in the country with 39,000 members, we have an obligation when we serve in leadership to make sure their voices are heard. And I believe that mission was accomplished.
Absolutely. And you stood up at NAR and let everybody know, didn't you?
We did. It's interesting to see that sometimes you stand alone, but we knew that going in. And again, making sure that what's important to our members is paramount. That was the focus. And when you're in leadership, it's not about a title. It's not about the position. You're here to serve. And it was my job to serve. And we had a great executive team and board of directors behind us with this and members who supported us. And so we did what our members wanted us to do.
And you represented them well.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I want to just check in with our members that are watching just to see whoops, I lost my questions there. Okay. So a lot of people saying good morning to you this morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for keeping us informed. Karen Cook is asking, how can we see how much was given to which political candidate? So that was back, I think we were talking about Tree Pack.
Sure. There are some reports that we have that show the investment level to different elected officials. So we have reporting. I'm trying to think of the best way to get that to her. Okay. I'll give you my email address. It's Kenya, Kenya, @HAR.com. Send me an email if you wouldn't mind, and then I will make sure that I check in with our team here to get you that information. Okay. And it's all reported, so be happy to share that.
Absolutely. Bren threw in a comment about when we were talking about Craigslist that the Facebook Marketplace is also, they have Craigslist type scams as well. So
okay, another one to look out for. So make sure if you're looking at Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, check for your listings.
Yeah, absolutely. Edward, when we were talking about any online safety and things like that, just made a comment, out of band communication for verification on any online transaction is always the best practice.
Oh, thank you.
Karen said, adapt and change is a part of life.
It is, whether we like it or not.
Yeah. Bridget said, in reference to Open Door, you can reach out as a listing agent for an offer with Open Door.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Sounds like she's taking a positive approach to one of the different business models out there. And again, there are opportunities not only for listing, but for providing a service to your client that you may not be able to provide and still receive a commission.
Yeah. Well, and people talk about being proactive versus reactive. I think what Bridget's doing there is being proactive. So
that's right.
That's great. Karen asked, is this information in our HR magazine?
Which bit of information?
I think she maybe just various topics that we're talking about. I'm not sure.
I believe we cover most of these topics in our magazine, but honestly, the best resource is that 5-Minute Realtor. We send out communication on a weekly basis, and then we send out a separate set of communication on Tuesdays. I believe it's the Edge. And so the brokers receive that. And it's really a weekly summary of what's going on in the industry and some recaps about what's happening. So we do send out quite a bit of information.
Yeah, I think pretty much all these topics that we've mentioned today have been covered in some way or another in our magazines and things like that.
I think so.
Maria said, I've heard from members that it's not easy to get on a committee. Is that true?
I haven't heard that. You have to apply. So make sure you apply. And then that way you can be considered. There are, because we have 39,000 realtor members, there is interest in some committees over others. One of our most popular committees is YPN, which is the Young Professional Network. So that's one that receives a lot of applications. So, depending on which one you're looking for, we'd love to have you. Please just make sure that you apply before the deadline.
And, some people, if they're, like we mentioned earlier, you can apply to more than one. So if I'm really passionate about technology and I'm really passionate about MLS, maybe apply to both, and maybe I get on one and I don't get on the other. It just really depends on, how many people are also applying, right?
And it also depends on what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
So, depending on your skill set and what you bring to the table can also be a qualifier on the selection for the committees that we have. So please keep that in mind too. But don't be discouraged. Please come back.
I have heard that before from people. I applied for this committee before. I didn't get on. I applied again, and now I'm on. So
it's happened to all of us.
Yeah.
It really has.
Okay, so if you have any questions for Kenya, really on any of the topics that we've mentioned today, please type them into the comments, and we'll check on those. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Realtor Celebration, because we're kind of talking about the end of your term. We have a new chair that's going to be coming next year. Can you tell us a little bit about Realtor Celebration?
Sure. So Realtor Celebration this year is December 13th at Houston Country Club, and we'll be welcoming Shannon Cobb Evans as our 2019 chair. So looking forward to honoring Shannon and the new leadership team. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be immediate past chairman, but it's time for Shannon to shine, and looking forward to honoring her.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And is anyone welcome to attend?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So if you'd like to attend Realtor Celebration, please come out. It's an evening of honoring not only our board of directors and executive committee who are being installed, but recognizing our Realtor of the Year. And this year it's Realtors of the Year. We had so many great applicants, it was hard to decide just on one for Realtor of the Year and for our Community Service Award. So we're honoring 2 Realtors of the Year and 2 Realtors for our Community Service Awards this year. So looking forward to honoring them.
Realtor Celebration is one of my favorite events of the year, because you really get to kind of see. When I tell people about it, I'm like, you kind of get to see behind the curtain a little bit.
That's true.
It's you hear, what HAR did, and again, we put out all these communications, but sometimes it's easy to miss things because we always have so much going on. But you get to hear about everything we did for the past year, and then we look to our chair for our new goals. What are we looking to do for this coming year and going forward? So
you're right. It's kind of a cool year in review. So it's kind of like it's like your life on screen for the year with HAR, which is pretty cool because it just recaps everything that you've been involved in. And it's just kind of a great way of ending this year and then kicking off the new year with the new leadership team and their goals. So looking forward to it.
All right. So Erica asked how many members can be in each committee. I think they kind of vary.
It varies. It really does vary. So I don't want to give a number, but there's some committees that are smaller in form because it just makes sense. But the numbers vary depending on which one you may have an interest in.
Yeah, I want to say on average, they're about 20 to 30.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So someone did ask Bridget how that works with making the offer or getting the offer from Open Door, and she's driving right now. So I'm glad that she's being responsible. And so she said she will respond soon. So once you're done driving, Bridget, if you want to reply back in the comments, that way people can read it.
Bridget, please get your eyes back on the road.
Yeah.
Be careful and do not blame us if something happens. But no, I would suggest going to the Open Door website, and I believe there may be a page there for real estate professionals
There is
to sign into. So if you do that, they will contact you, depending on your location, your experience. I mean, they also have criteria. They just don't partner with anyone. They want to make sure they're partnering with the right professionals. So I would encourage you to go to the Open Door website to learn more about how you can be involved as a realtor or partner.
Yeah, and I think it's important for us to just know how it works on the consumer side as well. I tell realtors, go and put your home on there and see what offer they give you, and see if that makes sense. And that way you at least know from the consumer side what consumers are getting out of it and the experience they're getting as well.
No, I agree. As a matter of fact, what's interesting is your consumers may have received a letter from Open Door. Yeah. So it really does behoove you to know who Open Door is, because if your client says, hey, Bridget, I've received this letter from Open Door, what do I do? You want to at least be able to say, oh, they're a new company in town, and here's what they offer. Yes, their offer looks like it's on point with market value, or maybe this is something that you may not be interested in at this time.
Right.
But it's really up to you. Again, this goes back to being educated and staying informed, which also takes me to another point. Inman News is a member benefit. If you have not subscribed to Inman News, we suggest that you do so, because they give you daily updates about what's happening in the industry. We do a great job here as well with the association, but they give you a really great view of what's happening at the national level. Yeah. So as a member of HAR, Inman News is complimentary. If you are not a member of HAR, it's a $200 a year subscription. So please sign up for it and take advantage of that opportunity.
Very good. Monica said, I've tried Open Door for at least 3 properties. So
oh, wow. That's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Well, good.
So
that's
good.
Great. That's great. Great news.
All right. So I don't see any other questions from our members. Do you have anything else you want to share with us or add?
Just want to say that it's been a pleasure and an honor to serve our association and our 39,000 realtor members. And if I can ever be of service, you can always reach me at kenya@har.com until December 31st. And then you'll be contacting Shannon Cobb Evans starting January 1. But in all sincerity, it's been great to be able to get involved in the community, get involved with our ancillary and minority partnerships as well, because we all are one realtor family, and HAR makes that happen. And I have to say this, the best staff, bar none, across the country is right here at HAR. And I'm not just saying that because they're right here and behind us. I'm saying that because it's the truth. They do a great job of making sure that we are able to not only educate and inform our consumers, but we have the tools that we need to be successful. So I want to say thank you to HAR for really being a stellar organization.
Well, thank you. All right. Well, that, one more. They were just asking about the Open Door. So Bridget added one more comment. You're both amazing. Thank you both. Kenya, amazing year, lady.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
And we all agree. Kenya's done a great job this year.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's it for today's Member Focus Monday. We will be back next week with HAR Director of Technology, Taki Rizvi. So we're excited to have him and hear about a lot of the tools and different things that he's doing with HAR.com. As you know, he's always up to something upstairs.
He is, which is awesome.
All right. We'll see you next Monday. Have a great week.